The bedroom door clicked shut with the weight of finality, a sound that detonated through the stillness of our home like a suppressed gunshot. For a moment, I just stood there, hand on the doorknob, staring at the wood grain as if it might explain how everything between us had quietly fractured. Lena's footsteps receded down the hall, each one tightening the knot in my chest. For weeks, she'd been fading, her voice distant, her laughter hollow, her gaze anchored to the glowing screen of her phone like it was oxygen. Every "I'm busy" carried the tone of escape. Every deflection scraped against the edges of my patience. But tonight, when I'd asked, "What's going on?" my voice trembling with cortisol-soaked fear, she'd turned, said nothing, and walked out. The silence that followed hummed at a frequency only heartbreak can hear. The living room around me felt staged, like a museum of what we once were. The couch where we used to collapse into laughter. The coffee table scarred with faint wine rings, evidence of shared nights that once felt infinite. I sank onto that couch, feeling the leather cool under my palms, and my mind began reconstructing every behavioral glitch I'd ignored, the late nights, the muted phone, the sudden sharpness in her tone when I asked simple questions. I'd rationalized it all with logic that dulled the ache, work stress, burnout, routine fatigue. But logic has a half-life, and tonight, mine expired. Sleep was impossible. My nervous system was in full rebellion, pulse erratic, hands trembling, pupils dilated as adrenaline surged in waves. The next morning, her side of the bed was untouched, smooth as if no one had slept there. A note waited on the counter, meeting all day. Don't wait up. The handwriting, once round and warm, was jagged, rushed, as though written with guilt biting at her wrist. I crumpled it in my fist, feeling the rise of something feral. Not rage, something colder. The kind of emotional hypothermia that sets in when the dopamine dies out and your amygdala starts to burn. By noon, I couldn't sit still. My body needed motion, evidence, anything to replace the chaos of guessing. I drove to her office building, a glass monument reflecting a sky the color of metal. I parked across the street, heartbeat syncing with the tick of the turn signal. And then I saw her. Lena. Her hair twisted perfectly, her lips curved in a smile I hadn't seen in months. She wasn't alone. A man walked beside her, sharp suit, deliberate gait, hand grazing her arm with quiet ownership. My stomach tightened as oxytocin's ghost wrenched against my ribs, the body remembering what the mind already feared. They stopped at a cafe. She laughed. He touched her hand. I didn't move. Couldn't. The body freezes when the brain can't process betrayal, it's a neural short circuit. The moment you realize you're the only one who didn't know. That night, the scent of him followed her home, a cologne that didn't belong to me. She smiled like nothing had changed, her lies perfectly calibrated. Just a long day, she said, her tone sweet but her pupils too wide. I said nothing. But my body betrayed me, jaw clenched, heart rate spiking, vagus nerve constricting my throat. I was living in a loop of cortisol and denial. Days blurred into surveillance, checking her phone when she showered, reading the digital footprints of deceit. The name Mark surfaced again and again, threaded through her messages like a tumor, missed you today. See you at 7. The words were clinical, small, but each one detonated inside me. I confronted her, finally. Who's Mark? My voice was steady, but beneath it, adrenaline throbbed. She turned, eyes narrowing. He's just a colleague. You're paranoid. The phrase hit like a chemical slap. Gaslighting, the brain's worst poison. Her tone wavered, though, and I saw it, guilt flickering across her features, brief as a pulse spike. She turned back to the sink, water running, the sound of it swallowing the truth. Over the next days, the signs multiplied. A hotel receipt crumpled in her purse. Calls taken in the yard with her voice pitched low, urgent. The mind is cruel when it starts connecting dots, it doesn't stop. Every synapse screamed what I refused to say aloud: she's not mine anymore. Then came the confirmation. A Tuesday soaked in rain. I followed her again, this time not as a husband but as a scientist of heartbreak, observing the anatomy of betrayal in real time. She parked near a row of brownstones, glancing over her shoulder before slipping inside. My body trembled with adrenaline so sharp it left a metallic taste in my mouth. I waited, minutes bleeding into an hour, until I saw them through the window, her hands tangled in his hair, his mouth at her neck. My lungs forgot how to work. The scene burned itself into my neural circuitry, a trauma memory, permanent and unforgiving. I drove home in silence, the rain streaking the windshield like veins of mercury. When she returned that night, cheeks flushed, excuses spilling out, I didn't confront her. Not yet. My calm was surgical, a dissociation born of shock. The next morning, I left her a note of my own. I know, Lena. We need to talk. I packed a bag and walked out before the pain could find language. Her calls came hours later, pleas, denials, then apologies blurred by tears. Eventually, she found me at the motel. Her eyes were swollen, voice raw. Tom, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I was lost. He meant nothing. The body reacts to hearing that like it's been stabbed, not with rage, but with the collapse of every hormone that ever made love feel safe. I listened. I wanted to believe. But belief had already decomposed. I asked, why? Why wasn't I enough? Her answer was silence, broken only by sobs. And that's when the final realization settled, quiet and merciless. The real betrayal wasn't just hers. It was mine, too. I'd betrayed myself by ignoring the data, silencing instinct, and mistaking avoidance for love. The night she left for good, I didn't stop her. The door closed softly this time. No slam. No echo. Just the sound of detachment completing its work. If you've ever felt your heart shift from warmth to warning, you already know, love doesn't always die. Sometimes, it just rewires. And if you've been through that kind of unraveling, stay with me. There are more stories like this one.